All right, Richmond fans, it's going to be a big week at the selection table this week. A few of our key players have gone out with injuries, so we're going to have to replace them. I thought I'd put my selectors cap on, have a crack at who I think is going to be in our best 23 to take on Fremantle. So first up, let's start with the injured players. First player I want to talk about is Toby Nankervis, hamstring, done for 6 to 8 weeks. Really bad news because we are really struggling to get a good ruckman in to replace him, and due to limited options, it does mean that it is a great opportunity, and it's going to be a debutant coming in Ollie Hayes-Brown. This is really exciting. It's crazy to think that I've watched him play for my favourite basketball team, the Perth Wildcats, and now I'm going to get him watch him play for my favourite football team, the Richmond Tigers. But look, he's obviously the best option that we have, I think, to put into the ruck straight away as a actual specified ruckman. We need someone to fill that role. It's going to be a very tough going for him in his first game, going up against Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson. But he's going to get an extended run in the team. I think if Nank's out, he's our next best option as a ruckman. So good luck to him. The other big key injury from the weekend was Tom Lynch. Also did a hamstring. His is a little better, if you can say so. 4 to 5 weeks out only. But it does mean that we're again out with another key senior player. And coming in for him, I'm actually going to bring in Liam Fawcett. I know a few people would probably say John T. Fall, and I do think that's fair. However, I think Liam Fawcett is banging down the door to come in. He put up another really strong performance in the VFL this week. 2 goals for is a little bit inaccurate, but, well, Tom Lynch was a little bit inaccurate the other week as well. Yeah, unfortunately, but I really like Liam Fawcett. I really like how he goes about it. He's a really strong, tall marking presence. Also, why I have him ahead of all, he actually does a little bit of backup ruck work. Obviously, I've mentioned the ruck positioning. Ollie Hayes-Brown is going to be under a lot of pressure in his first game. But also, as I said, Darcy and Jackson this week, there's 2 big rucks on the other team. We're going to need someone to help offset it. Fawcett's the man. Then the other injury out of the game was Nathan Broad. This one I only found out about on Monday through our injury report released by the club. But yeah, unfortunately, another senior player down, but it means another opportunity for another player to come in. For his first game of the season, I'm going to take Luke Trainer into the side. I actually think Luke Trainer should be in our best 23. I think the problem that we all kind of have is actually placing where he's going to go. I think he'll definitely play a bit down back this week, but I can see him rotating, pushing up further down the wing, maybe going into a forward role. I actually think he could be a decent forward. We tried Tom Brown up there a little bit this week. I'd actually like to see maybe swing Luke Trainer up there to see how he goes. But yeah, I do think Trainer is definitely a best 23 player. Where he fits, I'm not too sure, but I think he should get an opportunity this week. Hopefully he takes it and does a good job. So that covers off the 3 force changes that we have to make due to injury. But there's 2 other changes that I'd like to make. And the first one is going to have to be Steely Green coming out of the side. He obviously gave us a bit of a spark in that first game against Carlton, but really looking at it, he did all his damage in the first half. He didn't do anything in the second half. And I went to the game on Saturday and barely sided him. I did not see him at all. He's a guy who I didn't really have in our best 23 to start the season. I do think he's going to come out. And the man who's coming in for him is going to be that algorithm, Jasper Alga. He's a guy who I do think is best 23 material for me. And he's the guy who obviously put up the best performance in the VFL on the weekend. He kicked 5 goals to heap of marks as well. I think he had like 15, 16 touches as well. He's a guy who's really done well under the coaching of Luke Bruce coming through. I think he's definitely a guy who deserves an opportunity. He's the guy who just simply has to come in this week based on his form. And I think unfortunately Steely's going to be the one that misses out. But yeah, the algorithm, get him in. The last change that I would make, it's a bit of a tough one, but I'm actually going to take James Trezise out of the team, and he's going to make way for Kane McAuliffe. So James Trezise, he actually played really well in our first game. I was pretty impressed with him. Very quiet, not really noticed last week against Gold Coast. Kane McAuliffe, he was in our round 1 team and played pretty alright in there. He only dropped out of the team this week because of illness. Sonzi came in, took his spot. I actually have Sonzi holding his spot. I thought he was one of our better players against Gold Coast. And I think, unfortunately, it might be Trezise that makes way. So yeah, that's the last change that I'd make. Trezise, the unlucky out, and McAuliffe gets his spot back in the best 23. So those are the 5 changes that I would make to our side this week. Couple other players I want to touch up. 2 players that I think are unlikely to miss out. One of them is Jonty Fall. As I've said, I think a lot of people want him to come in as another forward target. That's fair, but reasons why I haven't put him in, I think I have Fawcett ahead of him. Maybe this week, as I've said, I think the added bonus that Fawcett can go and play ruck helps out. And he does deserve the opportunity. Also with Fall, I don't think he was fantastic in our round one game against Carlton. He also got suspended in that game, so he probably has to earn a little bit of trust back for mine. The other player I think is unlucky not to come in is Campbell Gray. There's definitely a spot for him in the team. Again, he's another one who has been training as the ruck, so it could help. He played exclusively as a backup ruck. I think he only played 30% ground time in round one. But he only had 2 disposals and 2 hit-outs, albeit 30% time on ground. But I don't think he did enough at VFL level this week to warrant a reselection back into the team. Then one other player I just want to quickly talk on is Jacob Hopper. Like a lot of us, I'm pretty frustrated with his start to the season. It's unfortunately been a poor start for one of our senior players. Now, I don't think he's going to get dropped, and I do think he's done enough to hold his spot in the team this week, and I have faith that he's going to turn it around and put on a good performance in this game. The only reason why I think that he should get dropped is setting a standard. Something that we need to do if we want to get better and develop as a team. Maybe dropping a key senior player like that just sends a message to the rest of the team that, like, hey, Hopper's one of our senior guys. He's not played up to the standard that we want at the club. He's going to have to take some time out. And, that's going to help us really develop and really show those young guys, like, hey, like, I can't come in and just, coast in the team. I need to come in and put in a really good performance if I want to earn my spot and stay in the team. That's how I see it. This week, though, I think with those other key senior outs, Lynch, Nankervis, Nathan Broad, it would be probably not the best to take another senior player out if we don't have to. But it is definitely some food for thought. Hopper could potentially, if he has another bad game this week, I would say maybe you need to go find some form in the twos. But yeah, that's it. That's my selection video. These are the changes that I think we should or shouldn't make into the team. Drop down in the comments below what changes you'd like to see to the side. And hopefully Richmond can go and do a good job in a pretty tough matchup against Fremantle. Thank you so much for watching.